Okay, so welcome everyone to our pre-nursing application workshop. Your hosts today are going to be myself, Con, and Katie. So it's nice to see everyone and thank you for tuning in.
Okay, so we're just going to give a brief introductions about who we are. My name is Khan. I am the pre-nursing representative for the County Student Nurses Association. I took my prerequisites within 1 year, and after that year, I applied for the fall 2020 cohort and luckily gained admittance. Dana?
And hello, I'm Dana. I'm also of the fall 2020 cohort. I actually took a lot of my prereqs with Con, so we were kind of in the same boat, taking it within a year and then just jumping in. So yeah, and Katie?
All right. Hi, I am Katie. I am a senior in the nursing program and I graduate in December. I'm also the pre-nursing representative for the Coyote Student Nurses of the Desert, which is the Palm Desert campus. I took my prereqs in 1 year and I'm currently working as a nursing assistant at Eisenhower out in the desert.
Great. Thank you so much for the introduction. So first, before we get started, I just want to make a quick announcement. I'm currently completing this raffle thing that we're going to be doing, which will essentially means that today, whoever's in attendance, I will be distributing 2 free T study booklets. You heard me right. They are completely free, donated by some nursing students from the County Student Nurses Association, and they're ready for your usage. So whether you're taking the Ts or you're planning to retake it, these are really great resources in which you can use, especially the practice test, to prep for your T's exam. So we will be announcing the raffle winners at the end of the meeting, but if you're here, you're definitely a contender. Dana, do you want to get started on the PowerPoint presentation?
Of course, and if anyone has to leave early, we will be having the recording of this sent out. So if you do need to leave early, just privately DM your name and student ID to Con so we can enter your email on record, send out the recording, and also enter you in the raffle. So even if you have to leave early, that's not a problem. Here we are. So welcome, and Con, would you like to speak on this one?
Sure. So if you haven't already, please join the pre-nursing group me. I am sending out a lot of announcements in terms of what the County Student Nurses Association is all about, when my office hours are, when upcoming workshops are. So it's really important for you to join this group me so that you have all the current and previous updates. If you can, just pull out your iPhone and just a normal phone, whatever the case it may be, and just use the scan it so that you can get the link to the actual group me. I also will be sharing out this PowerPoint to those who are in attendance. So if you don't get a chance to use your phone to scan it, you can always click the link on the PowerPoint presentation later.
All right, guys, so we are going to be talking about everything that you will have to do before applying to the nursing program. So first is your prereqs. And I'm sure you guys have already been taking your prereqs and you guys know exactly what classes you need to be taking, but if not, that's why we're here. We're going to cover all that information. So for your prereqs, in order to gain admission to the nursing program, you will need a 3.5 GPA or higher. I know with COVID and online classes, they have been offering credit and no credit for some courses, and the department will not accept credit, no credit, because if you have no credit or you have credit, it's not going to apply to your overall GPA. Let's see. So you will also need a minimum of a 3.0 GPA on completed and required prerequisite courses, including 2 of the 4 sciences. So that would be like your anatomy, your chemistry, biology, microbiology. and at least 2 of the 4 non-science courses with a minimum of a grade C in every course. And I know um, with some of the courses, they can be very challenging and you may be tempted to take them again to boost up your GPA, but the nursing program will only accept your first earned grade. So this one's also interesting. Psych 2201, that is the developmental psychology, where you will need to take Psych 1100 before taking your developmental psychology, and this is a prerequisite course to take the first few courses within the nursing program. But you guys have time to complete it. It's not something that you need to complete right away.
Oh, and just a quick correction, actually, if I can move back. So the department will accept credit, no credit, but it is highly encouraged to get a letter grade in these prerequisite courses because the department requires at least 2 of your prereqs to have a letter grade assigned so that they can generate a GPA. So you do have your overall cumulative GPA, but you also have essentially your science and non-science prerequisite GPA. So you can do no credit, no credit if you need to, but again, it is just very highly encouraged to receive a letter grade for these courses.
Oh, my bad, guys. Sorry. Not only did I read that wrong, but I wasn't aware of that change.
Yeah, there have been a couple changes since we've been admitted, so it's no problem. As much as you guys are catching up, we're kind of catching up too. So thank you for staying.
Okay, so this is just an overview of the roadmap. The first 2 years, year 1 and year 2, this is when you will be taking your prereqs before you gain admission. During the second year, this is when you will be filing your application to get in, depending on which semester, fall or spring, that you're trying to get into. With the prereqs, they do want them to be done before you apply, but that can be kind of hard. Like, you'll still be taking some of your prereqs while you're putting in the application. So once you're done with your courses, by the end of like the filing period, you would just, I know in my case, I had to send a second pause, but I'm not sure if that's been changed.
You do have to send a second pause. So after you receive if you do get accepted, it's going to be a conditional acceptance, meaning that you still have to keep up your GPA to meet that above 3.5 requirement. And so after will be reviewed later in the presentation. But I believe for spring, you will need to send in your updated pause for your fall semester, the semester before you officially begin nursing school.
Okay, so on top of the prerequisite courses, you will need to take the ATI-TEAS exam and attend a BSN info session. With the TEAS, you must score a minimum of 70%, and you need to take it within 12 months before you put in your application. You are allowed to take the TEAS twice, so if you don't do as well the first time, you can take it again. Hold on one second, let's see.
I'm
Okay.
just going to add, but in order to be a competitive applicant, we do recommend having a TEAS score of 85% or above, because every year is increasingly more competitive. Of course, you can always balance out a lower TEAS score with a higher GPA, but in order to fall into that, you're more likely to be chosen range, because at the end of the day, I hate to say it, and we are all statistics. We're just numbers to the Department of Nursing, those who are on the admission board. So therefore, you have to make sure your statistics, unfortunately, are higher than others, meaning above a 3.5 overall GPA. No, I'm meaning above a 3.5 prerequisite GPA and above a 3.75 overall GPA. This is way above the minimum requirements in terms of GPA and T-score, but this is also something that you should be striving towards.
Yes. So the department will take the higher of the two scores, and we really want to encourage scoring high. And like as Con was saying, you can balance out maybe a lower end GPA with the higher T's or vice versa. But to be competitive, to have that competitive edge, we recommend scoring above an 85 on the T's and having a 3.5 prerequisite GPA. Also, once you do take your T's and you have your T's results, during the application period, you will send that to the Department of Nursing, and we will show you how to do that later on in the presentation. As for the info session, you will have to complete a BSN info session. This will actually be done with the Department of Nursing, and you would do that 12 months or 1 year before the application period.
I got a really quick question. Is acceptance based on your GPA and score? Will taking volunteer hours or any extra activities affect you? It will not. Having volunteer hours, it's not going to make you a more competitive applicant.
Yeah, with the department, they only look at a few things that you get extra points for. I know that they don't require you to have letters of recommendations or personal statement, anything like that. I mean, I had it with mine, but I mainly got in because of my T's and my GPA.
Actually, when Data and we had to apply in person, and when we submitted our application, the person that we submitted it to, she actually threw out some pieces of paper, because this was back way then, right before the COVID strike. So she threw out pieces of paper within our application that the department will not look at right in front of us.
Yep.
So I hate to say this, but you guys need to understand, you are a statistics score. You have to make sure your score is more competitive than others.
Yeah, but we do encourage volunteering. That's great that you're able to do that. It just won't be a factor with you getting in.
Although the best thing about volunteering is, especially if you're volunteering in the healthcare field, it's a great way to get a feel for if this is the major for you, or, maybe if there's a certain field that you want to explore a little bit more. So unfortunately, even though it doesn't help with your application in itself, it helps you grow as a person, and it helps you grow kind of your career interests. So really, we're not discouraging it at all. Unfortunately, it's just not a factor that the department's going to consider. But if you have the time, we definitely encourage it for that personal development, for the career development, because it is a really good experience.
What you can do, because I'm currently I've been volunteering at the VA Loma Linda Center ever since fall 2019. And so what I did was, because I'm a pre-nursing, because I was a pre-nursing and because I'm now a nursing major, I would go into the intensive care units and I would just talk to the nurses there, ask about their experience. I've befriended many of them, and I've actually was able to see some procedures, enter patients' room, really interact with patients, which I have always been able to do before, but not to this degree, not necessarily with intensive care patients. So what you can do is you can talk to the nurses at your volunteer center, especially if it's a healthcare center, explain your situation, and see if any one of them can take you under their wing. It's a really great way to get patient interaction.
Also, once admitted into the program, I know through our Coyote Student Nurses organization, we have a club on both campuses, both the main San Bernardino campus as well as the Palm Desert campus. We do a lot of volunteering through those clubs.
So now moving on to the application itself. I forget the exact date, but the application is not open just yet. So this is kind of just a heads up on what to look out for, some things you may need to know because this is an online application. And there is no save feature. Once you open the application, let's say you exit the browser, none of your progress is going to be saved. So there are going to be some things you probably want to know right off the bat before you start filling out your application. And most of this is just fairly simple information in terms of like what term are you applying for. And I believe most of everyone here is applying for the spring 2022 admittance. Of course, if you're not applying for spring 2022, then please write in the term that you will be applying for. And you can also put in your campus preference, whether you want to go to San Bernardino, Palm Desert, or both, if both work out for you. The applicant type, everyone here should be pre-nursing, so that's not a huge concern. And there is a question just, will you or are you want to be like a licensed vocational nurse? If you don't know what an LVN is, or you're like, I don't think that's me, then but no, don't worry about it. It's just a quick question. And of course, if they want to know if you've applied to the nursing program before, and someone just asked, yes, if you go to the San Bernardino campus, you can apply for the PDC campus. And vice versa too. If you're at the PDC campus, you can also apply for the San Bernardino campus. So it doesn't matter where you're currently taking your prereqs, you can apply to the nursing program at both campuses. And of course, let's say only one campus works out like better location-wise, like maybe you're closer to San Bernardino or closer to the Palm Desert campus, you can put in your preference on the application so you're not driving so far out to get to your classes and to get to your clinicals. So with the question of have you applied to the nursing program before, this is just the department trying to see if they also have your records on file. Don't freak out. It's not going to decrease your chances of getting in. It's not. They just want to see if, let's say maybe they have your old transcripts on file and they just want to, double check that. It's not a big deal, so don't freak out. The BSN info session, which is what you do have to go to prior to the application beginning, you have to know the date that you went to the BSN info session. So when you go to the session, they're going to have a sign-in sheet. Sign in. It is very important that you sign in. That's how they keep attendance. But it's also important that you write down the date that you attended because you're going to have to write down or type in the date onto your online application. So just remember the date. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of a scramble trying to remember the date. Now, there are some additional questions. You guys might have seen it on the admissions additional consideration section, and that's just if you are military, veteran, if you're bilingual, and also the county requirement. In case some of you don't know, the county requirement, because this is a Cal State and because the nursing program is very competitive, it is considered one of the most impacted majors on campus. What Cal State San Bernardino does is they try to serve their community, which is the San Bernardino and Riverside County. So they look into this by seeing where you went to high school. So if you went to high school in San Bernardino County, they would give you a little more preference over someone who did not go to high school in the San Bernardino County. But if you guys are like me, I went to school in LA County. So again, this is just the additional consideration section. Not a big deal really, but just something to keep in mind. Just know the name of your high school. That's kind of it. If you are bilingual, I spoke to some students who use the online application. This section is a little tough. Like, let's say you guys took AP Spanish in high school and you passed the biliteracy test. Get that certificate, get a scan of it, get a copy of it or something, so you can upload it onto your application. Or let's say maybe you didn't take AP Spanish, or you took, I forget the requirement, it was like 2 or 3 years of high school Spanish or something, but correct me if I'm wrong by looking at the BSN admissions website. If you met the requirement through high school, just know that you are going to need an official high school transcript. So for my high school, we used parchment. to have our transcripts delivered. So just be aware that you're going to have to order an official transcript through Parchment. Do not have it sent to Cal State San Bernardino. Have it sent to yourself because you're going to need to scan it. If it's a paper form, or if it's a digital form, save it so you can upload it onto your application. So the preparatory work, basically, know the date of your info session. And if you meet the bilingual requirement through high school, get your high school transcript, get your official high school transcript. The second section in terms of completing your application is entering your prereqs. So what the application does, they'll actually ask you, have you completed these prereqs? And if you have, please enter all the information about it. So at the time that you guys are applying, you might not have all your prereqs completed, which is completely fine and understandable. So let's say you completed the prereq, put the term that you completed it in. So let's say you're doing it now, that would be spring 2021. Put in the course ID, so something like bio 2230, the number of units. So usually you can find this on your PAWS report or even in your school schedule, they usually have the units and the grade you received. If you haven't completed the prereq or you're currently taking it, mark it as IP, which stands for in progress. It just means that you're gonna take it, you're planning on taking it. You'll still enter the term, the course ID, the units. Just put NA for the grade because you haven't taken it yet or you haven't gotten the grade on it yet, which is completely fine. And per the department website admission thing, you will have to email BSN application at CSUSD and just let them know these are the prereqs I have yet to take, but I'm planning to take them in fall 2021. And that's all you really have to say. It's just so they know that you've applied and that you have a couple of prereqs in progress, but you will have them completed by the time that final acceptances are going around. And then part 2 for that is, even though they have you enter all your prereqs and non-science prereqs off to the side, they essentially want to do a second verification. So this is going to be done by uploading your PAWS report. If you guys are unsure what your PAWS report is, it's basically an unofficial transcript. It has all the courses you are taking, all the courses you have taken, the courses you have not taken, as well as the grades for each of those courses. So it's just an unofficial transcript that you have to upload. And if you're not sure where to find your PAWS transcript, we actually have some additional resources attached to this PowerPoint that kind of just show you a step-by-step walkthrough to find your PAWS report. And of course, remember that the T-score is being directly submitted to the campus or the campuses that you're applying to, and we'll cover that in a later slide.
Jared asked a really good question, real quick. He asked, do we have to resubmit our transcript to get the Spanish biliteracy if we already sent one to get into the school? So in terms of the Spanish biliteracy, yes, just in case. And also make sure that the Spanish biliteracy, if it does show up on your PAWS, just make sure that it actually does. It's listed on the PAWS as well. Submit an extra biliteracy thing. It's
Yeah, because when you send your transcripts to San Bernardino, you send them to the College of Undergraduate Studies. So that's the department that has your transcript right now. The Department of Nursing kind of wants everything in one place. So you will have to submit it again. And this is just so it's being submitted to the Department of Nursing rather than the Department of Undergraduate Studies. Because it is easier for the department to go through a bunch of applicants if everyone just has everything in one place so they can look at it. But now you're here, so now you know you need your transcript. So go find it or order another one. And it's good that we know that now. A common misconception is that when we had a paper application, some people would attach resumes, letters of recs, and we kind of touched on this earlier. But like what Khan and I saw when we submitted our application, they would literally file through every sheet of paper. And if it was not part of the application, it was in the trash. With the online application, if some people tell you, oh, you can attach a resume or letter of rec, no, you cannot. The online application does not have a place for you to upload these. In fact, the department never considered them anyways. So do not focus on creating a resume or asking for letters of rec. Focus on what you can do in your classes and on your teams. And Maria, did you have a question? I see a hand raised.
If you do have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat or just to interrupt us vocally. We do not mind at all. And due to the fact that it's already 10:31 and we have quite a bit of more information to get through, if anything, we will try to get through all of the information and leave the Q&A section for until after 11 a.m., which is the time designated in which the workshop is supposed to end. So if you have any questions now and you cannot stick around for the Q&A section at the end, please ask us now either vocally or in the group chat. We were more than happy to, sorry, my brain's a little jumbled here. We are more than happy to answer your questions as soon as we possibly can, especially if you need to head out before 11.
And as to Keno, your CSCSB transcript is actually the pause report. So you don't have to worry about getting that because it's all within your pause report. And again, just because there's a lot of info, we're not going to cover that explicitly, but there's a little step-by-step tutorial that shows you how to locate that and how to download it when you do to submit. And
one more thing about the pause report before you submit, make sure that all sections of the pause report is open before you convert it to the PDF and before you commit. That will ensure that will let the Department of Nursing see everything within your pause report, which is really important for them to make a decision. I will be sharing the PowerPoint presentation within this Zoom chat right now so that we all have access to it, especially for those who will be leaving soon.
As for the biliteracy seal on the diploma, unfortunately, I am not sure about that. So if you do go to the BSN info session, I would ask because, again, prior it was a paper application, so things were a little bit different. Now that it's online, I'm not sure if the seal on the diploma would be okay or if they would also require an additional transcript. If you've already gone to the BSN info session, and maybe you just forgot to ask the question, if someone can drop Mrs. Emily Jurilla's email in the chat. Mrs. Emily Jurilla, she does a lot of the admission like paperwork and stuff. So if you have an additional question, you can always ask her, or you could even use the email on the BSN admissions website, which I believe is nursinginfo@cscsb.com. That is also where they can answer a lot of your questions regarding the application. Right, and so for undergraduate college, I would not request it from the undergraduate college for your high school transcript because the thing is, your high school transcript is considered official if the envelope seal hasn't been broken. Now, when you submit to the undergraduate studies, whether it was a digital transcript or a paper transcript, when they open that email or open that envelope, it is immediately not considered official anymore. So try not to get it through your undergraduate college, but let's say the principal of your high school, or if you guys are like my high school that use parchment service, go through there to get the official transcript. Now, let's say your transcript, you got an official transcript that was digital. If there are no watermarks on that transcript and it says this is an official transcript, if that is what your high school transcript says, it is official and you can upload that.
All right, real quick, I shared the PowerPoint link in the chat as well as Ms. Emily Drula's email. So if you haven't already, please take a look at that and you can follow along, or you can just open up the PowerPoint and have it for your reference later on.
And just some suggestions to complete the application. Just gather your materials early, such as the high school transcript or that BSN date, the BSN info session date. And if you have questions, also included in this PowerPoint, sorry, I have a second screen, that's why I'm pointing up. But again, let's say you don't want to bug Mrs. Girilla too much, you could always email nursinginfo@csusb.com. And kind of anyone who is in charge of that email, like they can see it and they can answer your questions as well. And then below is just another reminder that once you begin the application, it will not save. So have all your materials ready when you're ready to submit. And there's no harm in opening the application really quick to see what's on it, see what you need to gather, exit, gather those materials, and then go back in and finish it up.
Alrighty, wonderful. Here's the post application. So you should ask the question, what should you do once you submit your official nursing application? Because I know that sometimes after you submit it, is there anything else extra you can do? Because at least for me, I get a little antsy. Like it's not a feeling of relief. I need to know, like, okay, what else? I have too much pent up energy. So here's what you can do. Next slide, please. If you haven't already, please submit your T-score. This is so important. If you look on the Department of Nursing website, there's going to be a deadline in which you have to submit your T-score by. So please make sure you adhere to said deadline. I'm not going to go over the how to submit your T-score so we don't have enough time for that, but there is a step-by-step tutorial if you can just see right here, and you can go over that in your own time. And everything is there listed for you and for your reference. The only thing that I want to say is that for the T's, when you submit your T-score, you will have to pay a $27 fee, as it is considered a product that you can buy from ATI, because when you take your T-score, the campus does not offer this. The campus does not make does not make the T's exam available to students, meaning you have to take your T-score somewhere else. Because of that, you will have to pay the $27 fee. And then in addition, can you go to the slide with the highlights, please, Dana? So I pulled this off of the official Department of Nursing website. Please look at the stuff highlighted in red and yellow. Those are really important as well. And of course, you can revisit the PowerPoint on your own time. This is just for your reference. And it's also something that you should make note of. Next slide, please. Okay, so after you submitted your application, you still have a semester to go before you officially become a nursing student and join the spring cohort. So what should you do before that? Here's what you can do. You need to finish your lower division GE classes. So listed on the screen are the categories in which you should look at in terms of lower division GEs. These are things that you should complete before entering the nursing program, because as a nursing student, you already have a lot going on. You have clinicals, you have your classes, you have exams, there's a bunch of homework all the time. And so the act of managing both the nursing classes and your GEs is really time consuming, and it is at times really hard to juggle. Therefore, if you can, go ahead and finish your GEs before entering the program. You have less on your plate and you have more time to dedicate to your nursing classes. Next slide, please. And if you can, and if you're able, please also finish your upper division classes. The nursing program will cover most of your upper division classes. However, there's one course that your nursing classes will not cover, and that is the upper division general ed, arts, and humanities. So if you can, and if you have enough credits, and if you're able to, please take this before entering the nursing program. This will make your transition from pre-nursing student to nursing student significantly smoother, because at the end of the day, the most hardest year in nursing school is the first year, because that's where you're going to learn the foundations, the basics in which you will use for the rest of your nursing career. In addition to learning the basics, you're essentially rewiring your brain, because our nursing exams are completely foreign to what you've ever seen before. Because in our exams, usually we're given a scenario in which we have to decide what is the best course of action at this particular moment in time. What would you do first? And all the answer choices are things you would do, but what would you do first for this scenario? AKA, as my professor liked to state, what would kill your patient first, and how can you prevent that from happening? In addition to that, we also have select all that apply questions. And if on some exams, if the answer is A, B, C, D, but you only selected A, B, C, you will get that question wrong. So that's also something to keep in mind. Because of how difficult the first year of the nursing program is, it is really important to finish all the classes that are required to graduate before entering the program. Oh, and then one more thing, sorry, I was going on a little tangent. So there's 2 writing intensive requirement classes that you will have to take in order to graduate. Your nursing courses will cover 1 writing intensive requirement. However, it will not cover the other one, meaning if you haven't already taken your writing intensive, I know some honors classes will cover 1 writing intensive, but if you haven't already, you should consider taking a Arts, Hand, and Humanities Upper Division GE that has a writing intensive portion. Therefore, you're getting 2 birds with 1 stone. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, not getting, sorry. Next slide, please. Alrighty, here's some optional choices that you can definitely consider, but of course they're entirely optional. What has helped other nursing students before they entered the program was taking medical terminology. You can't take this class this semester before your nursing courses officially begin, meaning if you're applying to the spring cohort, you can take this class. You can take this class fall semester, the semester before your courses begin, and it will really help you in your first year nursing courses, specifically fundamentals, health assessment, pathophysiology, etc. Because there's going to be a lot of medical terminology scattered within your nursing courses in terms of like hypo, hyper, etc., etc. So having a familiarity with this medical terminology aspect will significantly make your transition from pre-nursing students to nursing student also significantly easier. And if you haven't already, please invest in a routine. So if you want, you can establish a morning or evening routines just to help, what is the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I'm gonna look real quick. So when you establish a routine, you can set some time for yourself or to establish a sense of normalcy, especially within this abnormal setting, i.e. starting nursing school. And also you can establish a set time to complete assignments, time for yourself, time to work out, etc. Because achieving that balance from nursing school to being an actual human being, it's kind of difficult sometimes. So if you already have a routine in place, it will make things significantly less stressful, especially when you have weeks where there's like 3 exams back to back, because that can be really yeah, that's not fun. Next slide, please.
So for this slide, we basically put together a little list of like due dates to be aware of. So for the spring, this should say spring 2022. I apologize, but I'll fix. The application period, it's going to open on June 7th. So that's when you'll find a link on the BSN admissions website to start filling in your application. Someone did ask when their T's is going to expire. So if you took your T's anywhere between June 8th of, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry on these dates, of 2020, then you will be A-okay. So if you took it between June 8th of 2020 and then July 5th of 2021, that your T-score will be viable. So the info sessions, again, you can see the time frame for that, and conditional acceptances. This is when you'll see whether or not you've been accepted. And also within this conditional acceptance email, it'll actually give you a list of things you need to do in order to be fully accepted. So that's going to be things like maintaining your grades, finishing your prereqs, just things like that. Please note that conditional acceptances, I'm not sure if this will happen to your group, but with our group, because we applied when COVID, conditional acceptance date was postponed a little bit. So if there are to be any updates on when the conditional acceptances will be sent out, you can find that on the nursing's BSN admissions website page. They do have it listed. And if you already applied, let's say for like fall, what would that be? For the fall cohort, they also have updates on when to expect things for that. So like what we were saying is that you will have to submit final transcripts. So you can see the due date on that transcript, AKA your pause. is just so the department can see that you've completed all your prereqs and so forth. So just important dates to keep in mind. And I do apologize for some of the typos. So please use the PowerPoint link to go back in and look at the corrected dates. And for the 2 attempts,
Are you only allowed 2 attempts every 12 months or 2 attempts every application period? Also, do you happen to know the deadline to send in T-score for spring 2022? Okay, so I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 2 attempts every 12 months. Because your T-score is only viable for 12, what?
Yeah, so
Okay.
when you take the T's, you're only allowed 2 attempts within the 12-month period. They'll accept the higher score out of the 2. Unfortunately, it doesn't go by application period. It just goes on a monthly basis. So the 12 months for 2 attempts.
In terms of the deadline in which you have to submit your T-score, I'm looking on the department page right now to find that deadline, so I will get back to you on that. But per my recommendation, I would recommend the latest, you should submit your T-score the week before the application period closes. Meaning for the if you're applying to the spring 2022 cohort, the application deadline is July 9th. You should submit your test scores the first week of July, if not the last week of submit your T's test score the first week of July, if not the last week of June, just to make sure that the test score was in fact processed by the Department of Nursing.
For the question about medical terminology, there is a course that is offered through Cal State San Bernardino. And I'm trying to look up which class it is. So I'll get back to you. I'll post it in the chat.
Do you guys have any other questions while we scramble for answers right now?
Okay, so medical terminology is kinesiology 2200. So I'll put that in the chat.
Alrighty, so before we get to the Q&A session, I have 2 things that I want to ask of you guys. First off, before we get to the official raffle, I'm going to send out a, why are you not saved? Oh, okay, sorry. Let me just edit this real quick, but I'm going to send out a little attendance sheet along with some comments that you can leave in terms of how helpful you think the workshop was, just so that we can have some feedback so that we can improve on the next workshop. So before anything else, I would like to ask if you all can just fill out this short URL. Sorry, if you all can fill out this little attendance sheet just for your reference, but also for our reference. Paste. Okay, so I just sent out the attendance sheet in the chat right now. And then in addition to that, I'm going to now do the official raffle. So Dana, can I share my screen, please? Where do we send our info to get this recording? So this recording will be sent out to you on the GroupMe, but it also will be sent out to you on the based on those who fill out the attendance form. So the attendance form is going to ask for your name and your county email and a couple other information. So based on whoever's county email was on that form and just based on whoever filled it out, I'm going to send the PowerPoint and the recording.
Also, Colin, I was talking to Maddie. She wants us to send the recording to her so it could be posted on our YouTube channel.
Oh, We have a YouTube channel?
We do.
We do. Okay. I was gonna post it on my own YouTube channel and just share a restricted link, but that works as well. We can do that.
Okay, great. Just so people who wasn't able to attend today, they'd be able to see the link to the YouTube channel and also watch the event from there.
Okay, because usually what I've been doing is that I just record the meeting on and save it to my laptop, and then I just post it on my own student YouTube account and share it with the restricted link. But we want to do it via the honors account. That works as well.
Khan, can you just try to share your screen and see if it makes me stop sharing mine? Because I don't know what's wrong with Zoom, but it doesn't give me options now. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so we will be raffling out 2 T's booklets. And can I get a drum roll, please? Drum roll. Somebody back me up on this.
I try
Can
not
you hear
to
me?
record it.
Okay, so I don't want to butcher your name, but Aiden, did I pronounce it right?
Yes, you pronounced it right.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I know I get a little frustrated when people butcher my name, which is quite often. So would you like the T's booklet?
I already have one, so if you wanted to select another participant, that would be okay with me.
Okay, all right, we can select another participant. Let's try that again. I really do not want to butcher this name. All right, would you like to accept a free T's booklet? Miss
Miss YD.
Miss Miss YD. Yes, no, maybe so?
Or use the chat.
Or use the chat and just, yeah.
I'm also going through who's still on here because I know some people had to leave, so I'll double check and see if they're still here.
Okay, all right, no problem. Okay, so I'm going to put a pin on that, and let's see who our other raffle winner is. Yay! All right, Kino?
Oh, yeah, it's Kino.
Okay, perfect.
I already took my T's back in January, so
Oh,
that's all.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so would you like to accept your T's booklet or just accept it for a friend? I have a student who did that as well.
No, it's all right.
Okay, all right, no problem. Okay, this is gonna be, hey, sorry guys, real quick. Your sets. Would you like to accept your T's booklet?
I already have it, but I guess you could give it to Angelique. She says that she can use it.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, we'll have you down. And I will be contacting the winners individually via your emails, and we will schedule a date and time for the T's booklet drop-off if anything is going to be on campus at the end parking lot. So please make sure to fill out that little attendance sheet I sent earlier if you haven't already, especially the winners, so that I can contact you. All right, I'm going to do one more person just for kicks and just to see how it goes because we do have a lot of T study booklets.
Oh goodness.
All right, last name Nicole. I mean, or middle name. Sorry.
I have one too, so it's okay.
Okay. We're gonna try one more. For 4 times the charm, we can do it. Okay. Someone, would you like a free T's booklet?
I mean, this is just showing how well prepared you guys are. I'm really
Yeah, if
impressed.
anything. Alrighty, Sammy.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay, all right, cool.
Thank
Make
you.
sure to fill out the attendance form, please. Okay, I'm going to stop my share. Perfect.
Okay. So, Maria, in the chat, what book would you recommend for the ATITs? So, I can pull up the one that I used. I got it off of Amazon. It's this big book. It's like yellow and black. It's by Mometrix. Let me pull it up on Amazon and I will drop the link.
I can also share what the book looks like as well. While Katie drops the link.
Also, the company that made the book, they also have a YouTube channel that you can go to, and they have reviews of every chapter.
This is what the book looks like. It's big, it's yellow, Momentous is at the top. Can't miss it.
Yeah, I actually heard about that like on YouTube. Like a lot of people were using that. Did any of you guys use it? Was it actually like helpful?
I used it.
It was helpful.
Sometimes reading through the book can be very overwhelming, especially because you won't be tested on every single subject. The YouTube channel does a great job at really breaking down the information.
Then if you haven't already, if you have the means to, you can always purchase practice questions from the official ATI website, the creators of the test, and use those. Those are also significantly helpful for all the sections, really. And then in addition to that, our raffle winners today, some of these study booklets that we do have are officially from the ATI company. So you will be able to pick those study booklets out should you choose. We also have a lot of Momentric study booklets as well.
Just really quick about ATI, once you take the T's, you can go back and see the areas that you didn't score as well on. And you can, if you plan on taking it a second time, you can review it on their website.
Just to speak a bit with Mometrix, I did study questions out of Mometrix, and those questions, the reason why it's recommended most of the time is just because it is typically harder than the actual T's. So let's say you're getting like, I think when I took the Mometrix questions, I forget what I was getting, but I was scoring somewhere in the 80s to around the mid 80s to the high 80s range. So when I actually took the T's, and I'm just gonna share my thing with you now, so you can also see the review that Katie is talking about. So when I actually took my T's on the first try, I got 92.7. So yep, I'm one of those students. I feel kind of weird about it, but anyways, you can actually see the sections in which you skipped, and notice down here where it says topics to review. If you expand on it, it actually tells you how many questions you got right and which sections in particular that you may or may not need to focus on. So as you can see, I checked out the focus review just like a little bit, but I didn't care to take my T's again because I also don't like tests. So, but this is really something to consider if you are taking it again, want to take it again. There'll be a little section right here where it says, would you like to spend time on a focus review? So if you hit start, you actually have this, and this is completely free once you take the T's exam. So go in and check it out. But this is completely free where it will actually show you sections of a T study booklet in which you should review. So it is actually really helpful, especially if you want essentially that focused review to see where you missed exactly, and also how you can kind of improve upon those sections. And again, it's completely free. It already comes with you purchasing the TEAS exam. How long did you study for the TEAS? For my TEAS journey, I basically took, I studied throughout winter break and took my exam in late January. So when I took my TEAS exam, I actually had only taken bio 223. In this case, that's going to be 2230 for you guys. So I'd only taken that section of bio, and some of you may or may not know, but the TEAS focuses heavily on like your endocrine system, cardiac, GI, so all your organs. You cover the organs when you take bio 2240. So because I hadn't covered that, I used my winter break especially to go over the organ systems that I had not covered yet in anatomy. And I took the soonest TEAS date that I could do, which was at the end of January, which at that time was basically the end of the first month of school. I know our system's a little different now that we're on semesters, but I took the date like in the very beginning of school just because I didn't want to balance studying for the TEAS at the same time as studying for my prereqs. So I took it earlier. I basically used winter break as like TEAS study camp and then took it then.
If you haven't taken your TEAS, or if you want to improve your score, what I would recommend is that after spring semester, which ends in like the second or third week of May, really use that last portion of May and all of June, literally all of June, to study for your TEAS exam. Like hone in, focus, create a study plan, do what you gotta do, and literally take your TEAS at the end of June or the beginning of the July and send in your TEAS score to the Department of Nursing as soon as you possibly can, then and there, just to make sure that you have just to make sure that you're where you're supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, it's like Dana said, it is really hard to study for your TEAS while you're taking your prereqs at the same time. So if you can really use breaks to your advantage, you definitely should.
I have two questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I signed up using the TEAS website using my personal email, but should I change it to the school email instead?
We recommend it because if you're accepted into the program, you will need to have your ATI account linked to your county email, because you do receive a lot of your nursing assignments via ATI, meaning your instructors will need access to your account in order to see what your scores are on your ATI assignments. So yes, we do highly recommend it.
For me, I still have mine under my personal email. When I went through my acceptance and went to the orientation, they gave me a code to put on ATI, which linked my personal to my school account. So it's up to you. You can put it as your school email. That would be probably more beneficial. But you can also keep it as your personal if you already have it set as that.
Okay,
And of
I
course,
haven't set up like everything yet, so I was just wondering before I take my TEAS.
yeah, if you haven't set up anything, or if you haven't like purchased products from ATI, it would be best if you just use your school account just to save you some trouble later on.
Okay. And my other question is, I know I asked this like last time, but I just want to make sure, like, so I can take the TEAS back to back, right? Like, if I take it like I could take it within like 2 weeks if I wanted to.
Yeah, you can take it within 2 weeks if you wanted to. It just has to, but you only have 2 shots within the 12-month period. So however or whenever you want to take those 2 shots, that's entirely up to you. That's your discretion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, like if you really wanted to, you could take it one day and then take it again the next day.
I know some guys who took it like a week apart. They took their first TEAS and then they took their second TEAS a week later, and that was completely okay.
Yeah, I mean, when I applied to the program, it was a little different. You could have unlimited attempts on the TEAS. So to get the score that I wanted, I was taking it almost every month. It only took me like 3 tries to get what I wanted. But now that they changed it, just really try to focus like after you take your first one, study hard, and really just narrow in on what topics you missed, study those, and then improve the second time.
What would you say the hardest section was of the teas?
Everybody's different.
Grammar for me. I know it sounds so basic, but grammar was very hard. Math was like basic algebra though. It was super easy.
Math was like 6x. No, it's like 6x plus 8 equals 20. What? You're solving for x, essentially. And
Oh,
there's
okay.
a couple of statistic things, but otherwise, just really basic stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I am awful at math. I never did well in math, but my math score on the T's was the highest score out of all the categories.
Yeah. I did not study for math at all, and I suck. Grammar and English and stuff, that is my jam. I don't even know why I'm a nursing major. To be honest, I should become like an English major because that's what I'm good at anyways, because I suck at STEM. But I didn't study for the math section because I didn't care enough. Don't do that. You should probably review some of your statistics. But I didn't. Do what I say, don't do what I did. Anyways, and I got 100% in this section, and I literally did not even review any math stuff at all.
Yeah, I would, at least the way that I studied, because it's going to be different for everyone. So like if your strength is Daniel, English is awesome. Yeah, so if your strength is like English, grammar, reading, comprehension, do a quick review. I wouldn't say throw it out the window completely. Do a quick review because you might just need a little refresher, especially like if you're taking GE courses that aren't really similar and you just kind of need a little refresher to get your brain back into like English mode, then go ahead and do that. But really, while you're studying, mostly focus on what are you weak on. So do a quick review on things that you are very confident about. To like, let's say you've been like a star math student for like all your life. Just do a quick review of basic algebra. If you got it, you got it. And let's say maybe you're kind of struggling in anatomy and whatever. Just really focus on those sections in particular.
I had a question in the chat asking how many questions per section. So this is the official ATI website, and this is the breakdown. If you want, screenshot this, take a picture of it just so you have it for your reference. But for reading, there's 53 questions, 64 minutes, math, 36 questions, 54 minutes, science, 53 questions, 63 minutes, and English and language usage, aka grammar, 28 questions, 28 minutes. Grammar is a tricky one for a lot of people. So if that's not your jam, please review it. And if it is your jam, also review it. Because I know that for a fact, I have to go over my comma rules. When, where, how to use a comma. Seriously, it makes a difference.
Yeah, the grammar section was unnecessarily hard, in my opinion. Just because science and reading, those are my strengths. Math is not, but the math was super easy. So just really that grammar section, you really want to study for that part. Also really quick, with the Mometrics book that we sent out, they have practice tests at the back of the book. So if you want to, you can study and take the practice test and use that as a baseline to see what else you need to cover before taking the actual exam.
And also, if you can, please time yourself. Time yourself taking each section individually and time yourself taking the entire mock ATI TEAS exam in its entirety. Because how the exam works, in case you already didn't know, is that the amount of time set aside for each section, you only receive that much amount of time. So if you finish your section before that time is up and you move on to the next section, the time from your previous section does not add into your next section. The amount of time you get for each section is the set amount of time you get for each section. There are no changes. You can always complete sections early in advance and complete your TEAS test before the actual exam period is over because you finish all the sections early, but you're not going to get additional time per section.
Also with the time, if you are fast at taking tests or say you don't know a question and you don't want to spend all your time just on that one and run out of time, the test does allow you to mark it for later, and you can go back and review every single question before you submit that part of the exam.
really important to keep in mind. Do you guys have any other questions for us? Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say with the extra, like, let's say you finish a section early and you have a little bit of time left over, there is no shame in stopping for a little bit and just taking a breather before you move on to the next section. I'm one of those people that take exams fairly quickly. So I had spare time at the end of each section, and like just because I take them quick doesn't mean I take them easy. Like it was kind of tough. So yeah, literally at the end of certain sections, I would just stop and just like take a quick breather before moving on to the next section. So if you have time and you really need it, just take it. Just take it.
Do you know how remote proctoring will be? I know that with ATI, they do have remote proctoring because we have to do it for our ATI exams that we have every class. I just don't know if that's the same. So for us, it includes like, do we have to take a picture of our IDs? I think so. Like we have to show our IDs, show your surroundings. They just want to make sure that you're not like trying to cheat. You won't be able to close out of your browser and like pull up Google to try to look up a question because it will get flagged for cheating.
And I don't remember if I think ATR uses Proctorio, but for some proctoring thingies, you have to scan your entire room with your laptop. So if you guys have ever used Respondus with Blackboard, there might not have been exposed to it, but I'll just do like, I guess my room's somewhat presentable. Yeah, show your ID and do a room scan. Yeah, so like, I don't even have my ID with me. Let's just pretend this is my ID. Like, you literally have to hold it up to the camera and then take a picture of it. And then they'll be like, okay, scan your room. And you literally got to be like holding your laptop and just moving it across your entire room.
Especially your desk area, in which you would take the keys, like really just do a close up on your desk area, because that's where you'll be taking the keys and that's where they're most likely to look.
Yeah, so our recommendation is just so you don't get flagged for potential cheating. We trust that you guys are not going to cheat, but again, just so you're not flagged for it, clear your desk if you can. If you have textbooks on it, just move them under the bed or move them on top of the bed far away from you, or something where the person proctoring can very much see that you do not have exam help materials nearby. So if you can clear your desk, that'd be really great, because when you do scan your desk, they want to see the top and the bottom of your desk. And for some of them, they also want to see the chair that you're sitting in. So because you're primarily going to be there, clear the section as much as you can. Really only have what you need, which is going to be like your ID, your laptop.
I would recommend having scratch paper. So to not get flagged for cheating with scratch paper, what I do whenever I take my proctored ATI exams for nursing, I just fold up my paper and flip it so they can see that there's no information written on it.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
I don't own a laptop right now, and I use my desktop, and I have a webcam, but like I'm not really able to move the webcam around all that much. So like, how would that work?
With because were you the one who already took your T's, or
No, I haven't taken it yet.
Is your webcam like removable?
Yeah, I can remove it.
Yeah, so you would have to pick it up, kind of show it around.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pain, but it's good practice, because before we take every single nursing exam, whether it's an ATI exam or it's a normal exam on Blackboard, we have this server called Respondus, in which we have to take a picture of ourselves, a picture of us saying a phrase, a picture, a room scan, show our ID. There's a bunch of processes that we have to go through before we actually get to take our exams. So it's good practice.
Also, if you can, I remember some people saying that they'd use Proctorio, and if it saw a person walking by, it would flag them. So if you can be in a closed room, or let's say you're in your backyard, but just tell people don't come outside. Like, try to be as unbothered as possible just so you don't get flagged.
with not a lot of noise, like a closed, quiet space. All right, do you guys have any questions?
Actually, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Let's say you applied, but let's say you don't get in, right?
Yes.
Do they send the email to you earlier, or do they all send it at the same time if you got in or not?
I can answer this one as someone who got rejected. Okay, so there's a whole story behind it. Basically, in my case, they sent out acceptances before they sent out the rejections. I was a special case. I got rejected initially, and then about like a month or two after receiving that rejection, they called me offering me an open spot. Sometimes spots do open up from people who decline their acceptance. So it you may find out like within a month or two if there is a seat available and you're next on the list. Because I know for me, when I found out that I was accepted for the fall cohort, I only had about 2 to 3 weeks before school actually started, so it's very abrupt. So in case that happens, just try to prepare yourself. If you don't get accepted your first try, you can always apply again. It's as awful as it is to get rejected, because I have experienced that firsthand. It was awful. You just don't let that stop you from what you're trying to achieve. And you never know, you just may be someone who's very lucky and gets offered a spot that opens up.
And you have to understand that everybody works at their own pace. Just because you got accepted earlier or later, that doesn't make you any less. So if it takes you a little long, if your nursing journey takes you a little longer, that is completely okay. I know some students where it took them 3 years before they got accepted into the program, and that's completely okay. You work and you move at your own pace, and just as long as you keep pushing, you're not failing. So even if you get rejected, but you keep striving towards your goal and you keep working hard, you're not failing. You're not. It's just taking you a longer time. And if you think about it, you have a long time. If nursing is your jam and you want to be a nurse for the rest of your career, you're what? You're only 18, 19, 20. You have a long time to become a nurse. So take it easy, take it slowly, and it's gonna be okay.
With rejection, I know for me, it felt like my whole world was falling apart because I had this set plan where I was like, I'm going to get accepted the first try. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And when plans just don't go the way that you want them to, it can be very easy in your mind to be like, you know what? I tried, didn't do it. I'm not going to keep trying, like just giving up. And it's so important for you to remind yourself of that end goal that you're trying to get to as motivation. So even though you don't get accepted the first try, just keep pushing, because you have the same end goal as all of us, to become a nurse.
And then real quick, I want to address timeline. So the nursing program is 5 semesters, meaning 2.5 years. If you get accepted for the upcoming spring cohort, you will graduate with your BSN in 4 years. But if you get accepted in the fall cohort, you will graduate with your BSN in 4.5 years. It just really depends. And like I stated, take your time. It's okay.
And also, once you're in the program, every cohort is really welcoming. Everyone comes from different backgrounds. You're going to see people who are transfers, people who got rejected the first or maybe even second time. You're going to see people who got in on their first try. But just remember, you're all accepted. When you're accepted, you're all in a cohort together. You've all been accepted together. It's just really, it's really cohesive. It's really kind of like a family. So
Or at least we try to make it like a family. Not every family is perfect. And trust us, we know from experience for our cohort. It's kind of a hot mess. But oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, Con, finish your thought.
Okay, so when Dana and I, when we were pre-nursing majors, it was really competitive. And we met a lot of petty pre-nursing majors who were not very kind people. And at the end of the day, yes, you are all competing against one another for a select number of spots, but you might be working with one another later down the road. Meaning you should celebrate each other's accomplishments, not push each other down, not try to it is a competition, but make it if anything, make it a friendly competition. Because as a nursing student, whether you get accepted now or later, it doesn't matter whether you're in the cohort or whether you're in the workforce, whatever the case may be, teamwork is a thing. It's always going to be a thing. We learn about interprofessional care with other health professionals all the time. You will have to practice teamwork. So now would be a great start.
So with my cohort, I go to the Palm Desert campus. They are now admitting twice a year for the fall and spring. And because it is a smaller campus, they only accept 20 students, which is a very low number considering the amount of applicants they get. But
well, our campus accepts about 45 students.
Yeah. But I love my group. We are, because there's so few of us, we're such a tight-knit group. So I know Con was saying that there was some issues when she was a pre-nursing major.
There's just really some issues now as a nursing major.
It's just really important to work together. Especially as a pre-nursing major, I know that you all are trying to get in and it can be seen as a competition, but you are all just working towards the same degree, whether you get it from Cal State, San Bernardino, which is ideal for everyone here because we're all Cal State student majors. But don't put each other down. Really work together, celebrate each other's accomplishments. I know with my group, when I was a pre-nursing major, we did not have any of those problems because we all worked together. I was hosting study groups every week, multiple times a week for people to improve all of our chances. Take this time, get to know your classmates, work together, and maybe you guys will get into the program together.
And like, cute tip too is like, if you guys have the mentality of like, oh, I don't want to like help them study because, you know, I don't want them to outdo me, there's no harm in it. If you study with someone, you're helping someone. You actually learn better when you teach someone the material also. And something really cute for the T's, let's say you have a close buddy and you're both interested in 2 different T's books. One of you can buy one, T's book A, one of you can buy T's book B. Do what you need to do and then swap books. It's double the questions. So there is no need to be like, no, I'm going to buy this book because it's like rated better and I don't really care about her. The idea is that you're working together, and really if you can help each other get more for your buck, essentially buying one book each and then swapping, both of you are literally getting 2 T's books and 2 practice question sets to work off of. So look at it that way. You're helping each other.
I got a question. What is the average T-score and average cumulative GPA? There is no average, I hate to say, because if you have got a lower GPA, you can balance it with a higher T-score. I know someone with a 78% T-score and a 4.0 GPA. I also know someone with an above 90 T-score and a 4.0 GPA. I know someone with a 3.6 GPA and 85 T-score. But again, every year is different. So the level of competitiveness is different. My year, when we applied, it may not be as competitive as your year, or it may even be more competitive. It really depends on the pool of applicants. So unfortunately, I cannot answer the average T-score and average cumulative GPA because every circumstance is different, every cohort is different, and every individual is different. However, I do recommend for your T-score, please try to score above an 85%, and for your GPA, have an average cumulative GPA of at least 3.75 and a average prereq GPA of at least 3.5
I really liked Daniel's comment. Nursing is all about helping people. That is so true. As someone who works in a hospital right now, as a nursing assistant, I work very closely with the nurses on the unit and the other assistants on the unit. If we didn't have teamwork, our unit would not survive. We all rely on each other. try to have that same mentality getting into the program. I know you are competing for a spot and that can be difficult for some people, but building that teamwork now is just going to help you in the future when you have to work in a team, when you work on a unit in a hospital.
And then in addition to that, just to give a little background, usually the trend is after you complete your first year of nursing school, you will try to apply to become a student nurse or a nursing aide or something along those lines, just that you have more experience in the field. Katie is currently a senior right now, so meaning she will graduate nursing school in December, and so hence why she has like a lot of work experience under her belt, which is something Dana and I are both trying to get right now.
That's the beauty of nursing, of the nursing courses. Once you finish your fundamentals, you can apply as a nursing assistant without even getting a certification. So you
not
get
for Arrowhead Regional Hospital. You need to complete med search before applying.
Loma Linda.
Oh yeah, they do that. Yeah,
we do. I work at Eisenhower out in the desert. So for me, I started at the San Bernardino campus. I live in Yucaipa. I commute to Palm Desert back when classes were normal. It's a lot. I commute out there for my job just because I fell in love with that hospital during my clinical rotations. It's just been a great experience. So once you get in and you complete that course, I highly recommend trying to get a job. They'll really teach you a lot about what it's like to work in a hospital on a unit, make close connections with the nurses. And if you have some really nice nurses, they let you watch them do stuff, which nursing school is great, but the experience, especially right now during COVID, it's very limited to have any hands-on. So having nurses who will take time out of their day to show you what they're doing, it's beyond helpful.
And kind of speaking to that and speaking to a lot of the volunteer things we do with CS Center Coyote Student Nurses, we have a street medicine program where we basically go out to the homeless populations of San Bernardino and provide basic health screenings. So like blood pressure, blood sugar. We do referrals to ERs or other like local free clinics and whatnot. So, I mean, that's just the other thing about it too. I've actually taken more of a student leader position with that program, and I'm also on the way to being hired as an official student assistant. But there are times where you don't have enough volunteers to do your vital signs, to do your heart rate, to do your blood pressure. And so you have a team, and we're actually there with medical students also. So there'll be times where you're walking around and you're like, oh no, there's no one there. So you'll actually run over and be like, hey, can you do this? I know your expertise. I know you can handle this. Can you please just come over? And everyone's always like, yeah, sure. And it's just really good experience. And what's really nice, especially working with the homeless population, is you see people from different walks of life. And a lot of them have very interesting, to say the least, like interesting stories to share. And it gives you practice in patient interaction or interacting with people. Like I'm really awkward. I never had any healthcare experience prior to being in the nursing program. And I don't volunteer with the hospital. I don't have a job at the hospital. Most of my patient interactions have actually been with the homeless population through our street medicine program. So it's just really good experience to go out and talk to people because we're not there to judge them. We're not there to be like, oh my gosh, they're homeless. We're there to help them. We're there to see what we can do so that they can have like the best outcome, right? The best health outcome. So there really is that. And like, again, don't freak out if you don't have experience now. You can get experience once you're in. Because again, like me, I'm not like Con, I didn't volunteer prior. So I kind of just jumped into everything, but it's been really amazing.
All right, do you guys have any other questions for us before we wrap this up? Because the workshop's supposed to end at 11, but it's 11:30. Like, of course, we don't mind at all staying to help answer any more additional questions, but I do understand that a lot of people have classes that they need to go to, so we do have to wrap up the workshop fairly quickly for them.
Con, did you show them the slide that had our contact info on it?
Oh, Dana, would you mind sharing that right now? They have they have access to the PowerPoint presentation, so they can always look at our slides with our contact info via their own time. But Dana, go
Right.
ahead and share them right now. Share the screen.
Yeah. So for the sake of our recording, I apologize for the delay, but here's all of our contact information. And again, you can find this all on the PowerPoint. So if you have any additional questions that we didn't get to address, feel free to contact us through our Instagram or our emails. You'll see Khan also has 2 Instagrams. So Khan is our Coyote Student Nurses pre-nursing representative, which is also why she was promoting the group meet earlier. Because she's our pre-nursing representative, she is very much here focused to help you pre-nursing students, all of the pre-nursing students. So reach out to her on whichever IG you would prefer, but just, yeah, feel free to reach out with her. But if you don't want to bombard her either, there's no issue in reaching out to me or Katie to help you out with some stuff.
I received one more question. If we get a bad grade in one of our prereq classes, are we able to retake them? If you go on the official Department of Nursing website, it will state bolded that they will only accept your first letter grade for every single class that you've taken, whether prereq, general ed, doesn't matter. And so because of that, what you can do if you did perform badly in one of your prereqs is to get a really, really, really high T-score and do better on your other prereq classes. Because again, they only consider the first grade that you received in said prereq class.
But
what
what you can also do, if you do receive a bad grade and you do maybe want to transfer to a different school, you can check out what their requirements are, because some nursing programs do accept multiple attempts at some of the courses.
Mm-hmm. And also, the most important thing for your prereq class too is like if you get a bad grade, you can retake it, but again, they're not going to consider that grade. The most important thing to consider is what have you taken away from that course? What did you learn from that course? Because that's what's going to help you most in the nursing program. Like if I didn't do well on microbiology because I didn't know the full name of E. coli, that's not something that's going to concern me. But if I walk away from microbiology knowing, oh, I can use an autoclave to kill all the microorganisms on something, okay, maybe that's a little more useful. I mean, not fully applicable for certain things, but if I can walk away telling you what's gonna clean the surface of a desk, I would say that's more useful than knowing the full name of E. coli. So,
because for some of our prereqs, not everything that you learn is applicable. So you really have to think what is going to be used and what is applicable in the hospital setting. There are some microorganisms that are most commonly seen in the hospital setting, especially. Those are the ones you want to pay attention to because they will be repeated within your nursing courses.
Yeah, I can agree with that one. On my unit, we have isolation patients, and you really, there's only like a few circumstances where patients are in isolation, and they'll have a sign on the door that says what the isolation precaution is, and in their chart it tells you like the exact microorganism that's causing them to be there. So having an understanding of what that organism is, how it spreads, it'll just help you know which precautions to take. But you guys don't have to worry about that now. Just try to pay attention in micro. I know it can be very hard. In my experience, both anatomy courses have been the most applicable to the program.
All right, we have a couple people that are heading out right now, and because of their classes, which is completely understandable. Do you guys have any last minute questions for us before we close up this meeting? You can feel free to input these questions in the chat or just ask them verbally, whatever works for you.
And if you guys do have any questions after the fact, please do not hesitate to contact me. Like, I'm a nursing student. I don't sleep. I can answer questions at all times throughout the night. Never feel like you're bothering us when trying to ask questions. We're here to help.
Yeah, we really are, because at the end of the day, we've been through the process before. we know how stressful it is. In your case, it might be even more stressful simply due to the fact that it's online. And I know that for some people, learning online is significantly more difficult. In addition to that, you're not getting the hands-on help that you could get if you were in person. For example, I had a mentor and I was able to meet with her like once a week just to discuss any issues that I had in relation to my class, my personal relationships, anything of the sort. And she was right there with me, sitting right next to me, literally, and helping me out. I know that you guys do not have that same privilege, so if anything, even more so, please do reach out to us. We will respond as soon as we possibly can. Maybe not right away because our schedules are kind of crazy. So, but as soon as we possibly can, most definitely.
As for the question that just popped up in the chat, oh, looks like Dana already answered it. So there are 2 application periods for fall and for spring, but you can apply as many times as you want to.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, do you guys have any other questions for us before we wrap it up? No? Okay, I'm going to officially end this recording. Pause recording, stop recording.